So I've recently just finished reading issue 1 of the High Republic Adventure series, and this is a review of the comic series and whether or not it'll be worth buying any more future issues. After all, most people are super busy in their daily lives and not necessarily want to spend it on Star Wars stories that are uninteresting or at the very least adding nothing new to the Star Wars universe. For this review, there will be spoilers up ahead, so you have been warned. But before the video starts, consider subscribing to the channel. I cover all things Star Wars, so if you are interested in that sort of stuff, consider joining the community. Issue 1 of the High Republic is interesting. The comic opens up straight in the middle of the Great Disaster, where Master Yoda and Master Torban are leading a group of padawans to respond to the emergency in the Trymant system. Immediately catching my eye was the introduction of Master Yoda during this era, and it's pretty apparent that Master Yoda here is much younger and much more energetic compared to when we see him in the prequel era. The two main characters that we follow is Lula Talisola, a high-achieving Jedi padawan, and Zeen Mrala, who lives in Trymant IV, and has been taught all her life to reject the Force. And it is during this emergency where debris of the Legacy Run rain on the city Bralanak that Zeen is forced to reveal her connection to the Force, and Lula Talisola and her fellow Jedis are pitted against the Nihil in order to organize an evacuation of the city. In comparison to the High Republic comic series, High Republic Adventure moves at a much faster pace. It immediately drops the reader straight into the action, and it takes plenty of assumptions that the reader has read other High Republic materials, specifically The Light of the Jedi. Now, if you have read The Light of the Jedi, it does mention that Master Yoda is away somewhere in the galaxy teaching a group of padawans, to which we see in this comic. The insecurities of these characters are also introduced alongside first introductions. It seems as though Lula is struggling with confidence in her own abilities, while Mrala is struggling with her own inner conflict of having to repress her true self and face a society that is actively discriminating against any usage of the Force. However, the faster pacing of the story means that we do not get to know much about the characters besides this. Additionally, I was hoping to see some young Master Yoda action, but this was sadly missed in issue 1. But seeing as to how things were left in issue 1, I have no doubt that there will be some in the next upcoming issue of the series. A big concern of mine regarding the series is the number of characters that are being introduced. Over the course of issue 1, we are introduced to several other characters very quickly, and it is my hope that these characters will eventually come into their own instead of remaining far in the background as extras. As such, with so many introductions, I worry that the comic may not spend enough time fleshing out these other characters. Another area in which I do think is cause for concern is the way both Lula and Mrala have been set up, especially regarding their Force abilities. Firstly, Lula has been portrayed as an ace student, someone who is a high achiever and doesn't really have a lot of issues learning about the Force. While there are hints about her self-doubt, I hope that the story moving forward doesn't forget this and portrays her to breeze through mission after mission with relative ease. Out of the two of them, Mrala is probably the most concerning. Despite having zero contact or understanding of the Force, she was able to slow the descent of a major piece of debris, which would suggest that she is incredibly powerful in the Force. I hope that this was more of a one-off instance and that moving forward, readers will get to see her come to grips with the Force, as after being repressed for so long, it would be surprising to see her adapt and develop her Force abilities so quickly. I would much prefer it if Mrala slowly built up her Force abilities through a series of trials and obstacles instead of being another talent like Lula. That being said, this also leads me to the best parts of the comics and possibly the direction in which the story is headed. In particular, the character conflict between Mrala and her childhood friend Crix will be really interesting to take a closer look moving forward. Just like Mrala, Crix has also been brought up in a Force-repressive society, and so his perception of the Force is similar to blasphemy, and any usage of it is immoral. As such, when Crix sees Mrala using the Force, his outrage is understandable and will prove to be a source of tension between these two characters. Another element is the close involvement of the Nihil with the elder Trymant and how this relates to this Force repressive society. it is quite clear that during the first issue that the Elder has managed to cut a deal or some sort of agreement with the Nihil, who are there to rescue him from the ensuing disaster. The Elder, who manages to persuade the Nihil to accept Crix as part of the evacuation, seems to suggest that Crix will be joining the Nihil, especially after seeing Mrala using the Force. So it's set up pretty nicely that Mrala and Crix will be on opposing sides in the upcoming conflict, which is a really good opportunity for good storytelling. By the end of issue 1, the story is left on a cliffhanger where the padawans are surrounded by the Nihil, and a figure who appears to be Mackin Rowe standing at the entrance of the spaceship. I'm eager to see whether or not this is Mackin Rowe, as he was one of my favorite characters in The Light of the Jedi, and it will also be very interesting to see how Master Yoda reacts to this. Overall, I would say that there are some areas of concern, but it is still definitely worth giving this series a go. Additionally, unlike the short issues of the High Republic comic series, High Republic Adventures tend to have longer issues and provide much more in-depth entertainment. And so, if you have the time, it will definitely be worth checking this series out. That is all I have for you today. Leave a like and comment to let me know what you think. As always, be sure to subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next video. I am the Lost Acolyte.
And I have spoken.